Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here, and we're hanging out on a Saturday while I'm testing to see how Third Reich Events is working with Black Ice 10.43. Little bits of problems. We're not. So you are coding it. I'm doing everything with basically. I do have some help, and you can see the credits of who's helped. But yeah, I make Third Reich Events. So I code it. I make this. This is how I got my start in all of this. It is sort of my understanding of World War II. No, I'm not going to hunt anybody down. But Senpai would just be crying and sad. So we've had 6 times Willie Messerschmitt. Okay, see, now this is one thing that it does here is with that finish the Autobahn event that we just had at the end of last episode on the national highways. So I look at the only nation that I think in more or less by 36. Now they did continue to expand it, but a good chunk of it was done by this 36. So I give you, if you paid attention and looked, when I play through again, I'll look at things in more detail and talk about them. But there was some cost, but we give the national effect here. You don't have to go through the normal, research this to get it. You can just get it here, national effect, for our strategic effect for Germany for having highways. I figure that is already done enough to qualify it for where to download it? Yes. Well, this version is not yet. Well, this version, if you want a slightly earlier, okay, this is 7 since the beginning of February that this thing is fired. This is not yet ready to go out. There is on the Discord forum, if you want to test out a slightly earlier version than the one I'm playing now, you can, but this is not ready yet. So right now, this is just a test. It's sort of alpha. What's there is sort of pre-alpha or alpha, and this is sort of maybe alpha. But I still have to do the coding for having the AI build some strong divisions. I'm still working about how much we're going to do embargoes. Probably not actually. We could figure out it's going to be too much to do. Truly embargoing Italy at the start of the thing. When it's ready, where you get it from the main thread in the Black Ice forum, the Third Reich Events thread. And once it's truly ready, not just early releases, I will be updating the first post in the... okay, this is now 8. I'm going to have to figure out what's firing that Willie. I sort of kind of know, but I got to look details, and I got to make a check or get a check or talk to DSafe or somebody. Again, I want to say up front here, I'm criticizing the developers of Black Ice a lot, but I think they're a great bunch of guys, and DSafe in particular has been very helpful, including very helpful in helping get 8 brigades working properly. Okay, this is now 9 times this is firing. I mean, these aren't very big things, but once a day or whatever, or every other day, or every 3 days, or whatever this is way too much for this. Maybe even once a month, but I don't think so. More like once a year or something. So yeah, so there'll be bigger announcements when this is truly ready to go. But like finding this out, I did not know that Willie Messerschmitt was going to keep firing like this. Okay, this is now, I believe, 10, if I'm counting correctly. And so I've got to play this, and I was working on a lot of this yesterday. I figured, well, I'm going to be live streaming in the next morning, and so I might as well check this out. Now we see, okay. This is not meant to make Germany easier to play. It might make Germany easier, but I'm not sure on this. So do realize, we have... I made, I did so much research to get this essay, or I don't know if people know how little we actually know about the SA. We, as in books you can go buy, and I looked for every single book I could find on the SA that dealt, and it's literally, and I basically almost one that did it any really good, dealing with the SA after Ernst Röhm is dead. All of the books dealing with the SA are sort of like essay before Ernst Röhm dies, and then, oh yeah, it sort of continues. And it's sort of incidental. And the author even talks about how much trouble they had in finding out things. But I did find a list of essay units and where they were located at one point. Basically, it's the phone listings. How I found out where these essay brigades are and essay groupings for it is literally a phone book. Because at first I was wondering what all these numbers were. Were they sizes of units? Manpower? Nope, it was the phone numbers. So I found an original copy of a phone listing of where all, if you wanted to call up all these little SA units. And so I gave what town and what standard and numbers here for SA brigades and how many and where they were at one point in history. And they got moved around. Some brigade, some grouping left. Some had more added to them in the names. So I literally found a phone listing for all the SA. So if you wanted to call the SA up, where's the SA? What's the SA phone number in one area? I found the phone book. That's how I know. That's how I was able to do this. That's the only way I was able to get this. And this is not in any book that's ever been published. Yeah, somebody put it online on the Axis History Forum. Is where I found this. You're doing smaller ones myself. I appreciate all the work. Well, thank you, Klaus. If you want to see something small like I did is like Tanganyika, which is not installed now, which was sort of my learning mod, one of them. But yeah, so, we don't have a good order of battle for, these units that existed. We don't necessarily know what the strengths were. Now there may be files somewhere to still be. There still could be a salt mine somewhere in Germany that has millions of files that the Germans put away, at the end of the war and blew up the entrance, and no one's found yet. And they could still all be intact and be found somewhere, or they could be, in an archive in the Soviet Union, and in Britain, and America, in Germany, or in France, or someplace like that. And no one's just even looked at the archive. I'm not saying the information doesn't exist, but it's not been published in a way that I could access it. And so, yeah, I've done everything I can. Okay, now what was this, 11 or 12? I forget. Okay, so what I'm going to do now here is, that is happening based, I believe, because we have Willy Messerschmitt as Minister of Science. Now, all of these are certain personalities get to build buildings and have effects beyond what is here. Looking at the file, each one of these persons has a number by his name. And they, again, D-Safe and crew, they've been helping me out a lot. Again, so whenever I'm complaining about Black Ice Team going in the wrong direction, I'm not mad at the people. The people have been helping me. I'm just disagreeing with their direction that they're going. So I will complain about things, and not just, sometimes things are bugs or whatever, yes. But I will complain about their decisions. But D-Safe has been very helpful, and some of the other guys have been helpful too. It's he's just been the point man and helping me. Gave me the file name, and so each of these have a number by them, and so they just have a file that has numbers, and if these people are in offices, they get these special effects. So we're going to remove Messerschmitt, and we're going to put Heinkel in charge here and see what happens now. We would give them metal in exchange for money. Yeah, okay. Now, again, talking about like here, this started out, this was one of their two, I forget who the other one was. One of their two, the other one was a Japanese shipbuilding specialist. Two unique ministers. Now, they also gave jets to him, but it was Heinkel who did all the jet development Now, Messerschmitt comes in and builds the great jet eventually, but that's more the airframe. But as Heinkel is doing jet engine development, so I moved it over and I created a special Heinkel, Heinkel Flugzeugwerk. That's the name of his factory. So he's special minister thing. And so I upped his practical decay for bombers. I left it there for Messerschmitt, though. Yeah, they did. But all the Heinkel two-engine stuff. Yeah, I know the 110 and whatnot are two-engine too. So, but a little bit better, and then jet engine. The Japanese super guy had 5% reduction on practical reduction. This is the guy in charge of marine research. He's not so great, but he's just in charge of the research of the sort of this group here. The Schiffbau Technische Gesellschaft. It's a big umbrella organization of marine, as in shipping and engineering research. Hey, Beam Slam. So yeah, and like I say earlier on, there will be more science ministers that come available with TRE as they sort of did historically. So I went in and researched what I could find. Yes, we're testing the most current version of Black Ice with the sort of alpha version of Third Reich Events and seeing how that's going. Here we go. This is how I know about some of this stuff. I researched. This is Hans von Ohan. He is the designer of this very early jet engine. That picture next to him here is thought I had his name in here. Concept von Hahn and Han. Yeah, Han is not Han, but Han, this other guy here, not in here, is his actual mechanical builder guy. This is sort of what they built, and then it's Heinkel that comes in, sees this stuff, sets him up in his thing. This is you get more theoretical research, but it's not really worth the heavier investment. So this is the best expander industry, heavy industry. This seems like it's popping up way too much, so I got to check that out. Yes, Junkers was building it, but it's Hans von Ohan is the original designer, and back when this thing fired up, he sets Heinkel sets him up in one of his factories with his buddy and gives him resources to start refining the jet engine back in 36 or before. I have no idea. And obviously that's, big circular thing that's just sort of a test bench engine. Now, the first practical jet engine, and again, you don't see it, but there's also events for, Whittle or whoever's doing the English jet engine at this time. There's event, or maybe it's in 37 or 38, but there's events for the British jet engine, and actually the first flying jet plane design, not just strapping a jet engine onto a regular airplane, is in Italy. And there's Italian jets that wasn't very fast. I mean, I think propeller engines were going faster, but the actual first flying jet fighter was an Italian, and it was pre-war. Just prototypes, but they had them. And so there's an events for that. There's events for in TRE that you don't see. We would give them money for fuel. No, thank you. Is this also going to be fuel? Yeah. And money for fuel. No, thank you. Yeah, you can look it up. You can see inside. I also have a whole event chain dealing with this is the Hindenburg is completed. We'll look inside. And you can see what it looks like inside. So it obviously hasn't crashed yet. Yes, you can have energy. Okay, we're slightly down on steel. So what I want to do, let's come over here. Well, you look for the base 8, base 16. So it's better to expand something that has a larger base because the number of expansion factories just expand based on the base, not cumulative. 13, 20. Okay, yes, definitely the 20. And we'll do the 13 here. And we'll move those up to the top. Oh, good. We got to get these armaments factories. Okay. So these have been stuff put in by events, and I hadn't moved them to the top, so you need to move those up there too. Right. Yeah, well, it was interesting development. It was sort of the where like the German jet engines or jet planes had like two jet pods, one under each wing. Later on, the Volksfighter or whatever had one that was sort of up on top of it. The American jets, they had their in sort of in front of the pilot, but in the fuselage. The Italians, they had air intakes coming in the front of the plane. They'd come around the pilot, and the whole jet propulsion engine part was behind the pilot in the fuselage of the aircraft, and it was pushing the air out the back of the tail. So it goes the whole length of the fighter. So in through it has a big sort of gaping fish mouth nose. Those are the intakes go around the pilot, cockpit inside the fuselage, and then the engine behind them, and then pushing out. Very sort of a complicated affair. Very interesting though. So, but yeah, they were there. We would give them money for crude oil. Now, crude oil is something I will see about buying, and yeah, we can afford that. We'll do that. So yeah, there was a lot of different. The first, we only have, at least the only thing I've ever been able to find for the earliest jet tests for Germany is taking like a Heinkel propeller engine plane and literally just strapping a jet engine on struts below it, and it's just a line drawing that I've ever seen. And I'm not even sure if it's a period line drawing because they may have photographed all this stuff, but either it's still classified in somebody's archives or they just put the stuff on bonfires, at the end of the war to keep it from getting into enemy hands. The Nazis were doing things like that. So I don't have a good photo of the stuff, but I have long drawings. And so it shows where the engine compartment for the aircraft normally would be, and you see the exhaust pipes, but it doesn't show the propeller on the aircraft. But I'm guessing the propeller and the engine were there sort of as backups if the jet didn't work, maybe. But I don't know about starting a propeller in the air. I don't know. But yeah, small arms factory is good. Yes, we will continue. Yes, splendid. Double jet engine research budget high. With the appointment of a new science minister, we need to decide about jet engine research. We'll do low budget. I don't know about, yes, we want motorized support brigade. Yes, we want that. Okay, we will take this squadron here. Yeah, we'll put that program artillery focus or thing. Okay, we're slightly down on money, so let's see if we can see somebody that we want to sell. They're getting a lot of money from us. Do they want to? Nope. Is there a possibility? Very likely. Okay, well, that would be nice. We'll sell a little bit of supplies to them. Soviet Union, okay, good. Let's see if we can sell some supplies to them. Is Bulgaria winning? No. And so, like, we have this whole SA thing here that I created. These units suck as military units, and they're okay occupation, anti-partisans type stuff. But you take a big hit for manpower when this event fires. Now, if you remove these guys, you'll get some of that manpower back. But if you leave them here, later on there'll be an event that will take all of these away and put on an actual weaker one and put a lot of the manpower back. Because my understanding with the SA is all these SA units continued. All the men in them continued their membership in them, even though they were being drafted or volunteering for the army. So they were both an SA man and a guy in the army. So the units become skeletons of themselves, but they're still around, all the different, Obergruppen and Sturmbands and whatnot. So they're all still existing, but the manpower is in the army. But so in the meantime, you're having to feed all these units with supplies. And so these are more of a white elephant than anything that is actually good for you in the game. Yes, we're testing it out and seeing how it works. This is the Wehrmacht Ersatz Division from... it's hard to find training photos of the German soldiers. German soldiers, most of the time, did not wear the uniform like you see that guy there wearing most of the time. A lot of, at least in, not, when they went out to war, they wore their uniforms. But they wore these sort of white linen cheap uniforms, trousers, pants. Part of the reason for white, I think, is, cost is cheaper to, they're cotton or whatever. It's cheaper to get that. But two, you can see how clean they are. So, they have to clean their clothing all the time. So they get dirty. But these were consumable items where the uniform and jacket you weren't supposed to wear out. Sure, when you go out of the barracks in town and you're supposed to be presentable, so it's a requirement to wear them. But when you're just out doing drilling and marching and digging ditches and playing soldier, they want you to wear these uniforms. It's been very hard for me to find photos like that, but I did find that one there. Yes, towards the sun. One of the major things the SA were doing, were training, got these badges, and this is one of the few party badges that you could wear on your uniform. And they were these sports badges were given to both SA members and non-SA members, including Army soldiers that had gone through these training things. So the SA is training up all kinds of men, various types, including soldiers, including, Nazi party members, but that aren't SA members, as well as themselves. And these are all, paramilitary type. They do small caliber rifle fire. There's gas mask use and whatnot. And so you got these. So the SA is spending a lot of time training up the army at this point. We'll expand these factories. Let's go into these things showing up down here. No, just checking. Yes, boot camp activity, cleaning uniforms. That's right. So we're just seeing how well these play together. My mod, like I say, this is not ready. There's still major things I'm planning on doing before release, but I just need to know what I need to fix, like that Willie Messerschmitt thing that kept firing while he was in. We're still seeing some of the budget stuff, and I've got to look into that because I want that gone. Those are things I disagree with. To me, mostly money is international exchange. If you're looking for cost for TRE and also for some degree GGA and for some degree in standard black ice, cost is often supplies. And what I did, just to explain to people, when you get these and you have the giant infrastructure projects and the monumental architecture projects and the radio events, they have a big money cost in black ice. Well, I just basically, like, if it was 1,000 money, I got rid of a zero and it goes down to 100. Or if it was 100, I went down to 10 or whatever. That was just sort of taking that. But then I went and added 10,000 or 20,000 supply cost added to that, to the other supply cost, and a check to make sure that you would have to have that amount of supplies. So again, I'm not trying to make it easier, but then this goes for all nations, not just Germany, when I'm changing something like that, for these infrastructure projects. It's the same for all nations. It's not a German tweak. It's a everybody tweak. But you just have a much huger supply manufacture cost. So that's what is sort of one of the main currencies for domestic stuff for me is supply cost, not money costs. And that's where I disagree with the Black Ice team, or particularly, oh my God. He's a buddy. I like him. Yes, we can either send money to the Black Shorts in Britain, if you know about PG Wodehouse or Nine Fool, and you get that's the actual, this is from one of the few modern things I put in is some stills from the series of Bertie and Wooster, but that's the actual period book cover of the fictitious Black Shorts. Hello, Yog Dog. Yep, we're starting over with testing for TRE with Third Reich Events with current Black Ice. Yes, the SS needs an HQ. So we see there we have the HQ, and don't we have, yes, the VT. So the VT, Bergens from Truppen or whatever, gets under there. And Hessmeyer ends up in command of all that, as he was historically. He was in command of the SS Hauptamp. Okay, yes, reorganize that. This, and did Philip Holzman, the company, built that big railway station in Tehran. Okay, here's something. What I need to do is, they now have, what's it called here? Rail terminuses. They're meant to help with supply and whatnot. I'm not exactly sure their effects. We will see an event that Holzman builds a teaching hospital here it would be in Tehran as well. So I went in because it wasn't there originally, and for the event, Iran gets a hospital. I think with that railway station, we will give them a rail terminus here in Tehran. Don't know how that affects things, but we'll give them a railway terminus. So I got to try to remember that. Those are some of the things I'm looking at changing, developing, whatever you want to say. The National Socialists Ritter Corp, sort of an SA unit, sort of not. The flag, this is Czech. We can support this fascist movement. That's a Czech fascist movement. And see, the Nazis were big onto border science, but so is this guy. The founder, Milo Maxner, he very scientific guy. He is the author of Practical Telepathy, or the transfer and reading of mind as the key to mental magic, and other similar works. He's in charge of the Czech, not the Sudetans. These are the Czech fascist movement. Yeah, we'll send them a little bit of money and supplies. The flag. And this is another. Now there's an event for the BBC in Britain that you don't see, but this is because this is the Haus des Radfunk. This is actually the big. You can see this is huge. There's actually a patio or what do you want to call this up here? Rooftop garden area up on this huge building. This building still exists to this day, though. This is a period looking on it. This is a huge radio studio, and you can see what I think are sort of theaters for people to be in internally there and whatnot. It's a huge national. So with this, you get a big boost to the radios you should. Yes. Now you have the for free because this already existed in 36. Centralized, you get level 1 small entertainment, level 1 heroic tales, and level 1 news and politics. I think for the BBC it's just 2. I think it's small entertainment shows and news and politics for the BBC. Okay, double. Okay, well, this is twice now that this is fired that I've had Heinkel in here. We'll see. Thank you, Arno. Okay, very useful stuff, magic and metal thought. Yeah, here's the notification that you now have these things. No longer receive that little bit of money for all that energy. Well, because I switched over from Messerschmitt to Heinkel. And we'll go down to there. I got to look at those are repeating, so I got to look and see why they're repeating. See if they're supposed to be repeating. Try to figure the code out. Yes, you can have metal. Oh, that's a little too little. Let's just so it's green. So I don't look up here and see red. Reichsführerschule der SA, the training group. Well, that gives you, is he in Munich here? I think, yeah, it gives you that. Let's attach you to the local group here and stop you from upgrading. Nope. Again, up a little bit more. Another unit makes it, push it up a little bit more. And you want to have massive amounts of extra supplies. Post-war esoteric Nazis like Soviet Davies. Do you think they would have been accepted by the regime had they won the war? Or would they have been? Okay, I don't know right offhand. Savi Tri Devi. Okay. I highly recommend the book Hitler's Monsters. I've read it. Well, actually, I listened to it on audiobook. I'm thinking because I want to get it. I'm probably going to get a digital copy of it as well, so I can look things up in it more. I forget the author's name. You can find it. It's very good, and it looks at the esoteric nature of National Socialism. What they accepted, what they didn't accept. It goes into a lot of detail. So there's a lot of esotericism, not just in Himmler's circle, but in Hess's circle. It goes back to the pre-foundations of. I have in my mind for a mod or a DLC, whether for Hearts of Iron 3 or Hearts of Iron 4, called the Hidden Reich, and it's all about esoteric Nazis and flying saucers and really cool fantasy. I mean, there's a grounding in reality, but no extra budget. I gotta find out why that's keep firing. Okay, let's come over here. Let's change this out for George Schnandel. That was one of mine, pure ads. Read Nicholas Clark's The Occult Roots of Nazism. It's very good. I don't think I've read that. Now, I do believe post-war, I actually think some of the people, some of the Nazi types, went on a disinformation campaign about esoteric Nazi elements, and I don't really trust much post-war stuff about it. But there's a lot. Yeah. Okay. Some may have thought of them as metaphors. I do believe some of them thought they were actual real. Some of the high up Nazis. And you can go into the I think Eric something. I'm trying to it's on the but Hitler's Monsters. If somebody wants to check that out on that, will it be included in that mod? No, that would be going a little too much on somebody else's intellectual property, but it would be sort of close to that. But werewolves were good, vampires were bad and Jewish. And if you look at the original Nosferatu movie, you can see the sort of Jewish connection put into with that. The Nazis at their core actually believe Jews are not literal vampires in that they go and find somebody and suck their blood, but they believe that they suck the life out of the Volk that they're living in amongst. So they see Jewishness as sort of a vampirism. Again, not literally sucking blood out. Again, I don't believe any of this stuff is true, but this is what they thought. But they see and they call, and you can even, there's like werewolf type stuff going on during the French occupation of the Rhineland after World War One, leading up to the Nazi. That sort of guerrilla warfare kind of action, and sort of in German mythology, and they sort of highlight this and point this out, that the werewolves are sort of helper monsters for the German people, and the vampires were evil monsters. And some actually believe that these are like literal, people that turn into wolves or people that literally suck blood. Some do. Not most, I don't think, but I think most of it is sort of, like I was talking with the Jews, sort of metaphorically looking at this. So there's a lot of this kind of weird esoteric stuff going on with them. But I think Hitler's Monsters is probably the best modern look at what is real that the Nazis actually believed versus other post-war sort of fantasy, like the book it was around before, but I don't think any of the core Nazis believe it. That have the people that live under the earth and Vril and whatnot. That was around, but that's not at the core of any real Nazi hierarchy stuff that I understand to be. And so I think some of that is post-war disinformation by National Socialists. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with all of that. Yeah, I understand that, but um, and I may have heard of him, but I'm just trying to remember. I can't put a face to the name or any clear actions or whatnot. But yeah, read Hitler's Monsters. That's or you can at least look it up on Amazon. Um, Against the would easily be included. Yeah, we give the medal for money. Okay. Okay, I'll give you a little bit of what I thought of doing for this mod. It was sort of role play. Thought how I turned down that sort of leader unit in the beginning of this. It would sort of be played out as, while you're playing the game, you sort of are in it as sort of a person that is assigned to help build up the special programs in Nazi Germany. You have been assigned by the And I've heard it, and the author of Hitler's Monsters just recently called it the Thule Society in a lecture that he gave that I watched on YouTube at the National Spy Museum in Washington, D.C. It was a year or two ago that he gave the lecture, I think, but I just only recently watched the lecture. But I've also heard it called the Thule Society, and I'm not sure which was the period term for it. But the Thule Society is the group that founded the Nazi Party, or what becomes the Nazi Party. But the Thule Society believes that they've lost control of the Nazis, and you are a Thule or Thule Society operative who is going to continue to work within the Nazi Party to achieve their goals. And you're supposed to work and make sure that some of these projects get done, and you're sort of up in the ranks of what's going on, and you have goals and objectives as well playing it. One of them, of course, is you need to get to the you need to conquer Tibet so you can get there to get into the connection to some of the ancient Aryan hidden secrets and bases or whatnot, that are there. And I wanted to create a little create a Antarctica to eventually have one of your other things is to build a Antarctic base and whatnot, and develops flying saucer aircraft, not flying saucers that go into outer space, but just flying saucer aircraft and all kinds of techno science and weird stuff that that I would love to do that. I have in me a fantasy mod to make, but I don't know that I'm ever going to make it. But unless somebody wants to do a GoFundMe or something someday, and I would be happy to make it. But I don't know that whether for Hearts of Iron 4 or Hearts of Iron 3, if there's enough interest in doing that. But yeah. Okay, the Three Powers Pack. Write it up. Well, let's see. March 23rd. Yes, March 23rd. Actually, it sort of maybe been negotiated, signed. Italy, Austria, and Hungary signed a three-power agreement today in which it was understood makes Italy the virtual guarantee of Austrian independence no matter what happens, such as an attempt by Germany to take Austria under its wing. The new agreement strengthens the political and economic relations with Italy, with Austria and Hungary. Italy was understood to have promised support Hungary's demand for revision of the World War I treaties, basically get more territory that had been in that the Austrian kingdom part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire had controlled, shall we say. So be very careful with my language there. For territorial adjustments with the project, when the projected European conference is held this summer, which is coming up. So what you can see here, let's look here, diplomacy. Now, independence is now guaranteed by Italy and Hungary, Austria's. And let's see, guaranteed independence, it's guaranteeing the independence of Austria. So right now, if we were to declare war on Austria, we would get war with Italy and Hungary as well. This might have understood. Oh yeah, the fantasy element would go well with Hoi 4. I haven't pitched that to Paradox Interactive. I have pitched Third Reich Events, and that was years ago, so they know about. Trust me, they not just the guys that develop Hoi 4, Podcat or Dan or Don, however you want to say his name, Lynn, but they know who I am. They know about the mod. Third Reich Events. Pitched it as a DLC for Hearts of Iron 4 with a working prototype of a bunch of it. One of the main things I have been doing is taking all the new stuff that I developed for the Hearts of Iron 4 version and putting it into this version. So there's a lot of new stuff in here that was made for the other one. But I have, quite honestly, right now, no interest to mod for Hoi 4. I'm playing. I haven't been playing it in a while since I've been playing this. I will be playing more again in the future. Um, but I would be happy to make DLCs that I get paid for. It's just too much time modding. I just can't. Yeah, because it's one thing to update this. In this last 2 weeks, I've been working more than 8 hours a day, updating this mod the last couple of weeks. And so building a major thing for Hearts of Iron 4 is just going to take so much time, and I just don't have it to just volunteer and give. That would have to be a DLC. So it's one thing to update this. It's one thing to add a few more events. It's that's a lot of work, but it's not the same as building something entirely. So yeah. Okay. Let's look politically. Okay. Now, my last playthrough, you can go watch it. We were having huge problems with National Socialist popularity. Part of the reason I think is, and which we still have here, is divided government. Is how much are Nazis, how much are fascists, how much are paternal autocrats. That hurts. But it was getting down to 5% or whatever in that last playthrough at times. This is more realistic as to my appreciation of what is practically support for the Nazis. 56% or something? Yeah, that sounds about right. Now, probably fascist would probably not exist. It would probably be really more paternal, paternal autocrat type support. Or yes, a sliver of that. A lot more social conservative. A lot of there's a lot of communist Stalinists. Now they have no political power, and all their leaders are either in prison or have in concentration camps or going through the concentration camps. Similarly with some of the socialists, but there's still a lot of popular people out there that support a socialist movement, but they're just keeping their heads down. Thank you, Klaus. I'm sure, yeah, and it's not that I don't want to make the mods for either Hearts of Iron 3 or 4. It is, I would love to. And actually, I'd love to make it for Hearts of Iron 4. And some of the stuff is easier to do in Hearts of Iron 4. But some of the stuff is harder, but a lot of the stuff is easier. It's just time, and I just don't have it to just give to make a huge thing. Okay, yeah, diplomatic reports. National Assembly, Czechoslovakia passed the law on national defense. They don't have very interesting law. It really is like just whatever date law of national defense. Because I talked to George, my Czech correspondent, who's a professor or teacher, whatever you want to call him, in Czechoslovakia. He advised me on a lot of these Czech events. This is new for this. This is one of the new TRE stuff that was in the Hoi 4 unreleased Hoi 4 version of it. I did release a version of it into the the beta test forum for Hearts of Iron 4. Like I say, it's presumably still up there. I'm no longer part of the beta test, but they did have I'm not supposed to even probably mention this, but I don't think they'll get mad at me. There is like a sub forum for mods for the beta project kind of thing, and I released into that of the version that was for the whatever way back when. Current version of Black Ice probably wouldn't. I mean, not Black Ice. Hearts of Iron 4 probably wouldn't work with the modern one at all. But yeah, so they know about Third Reich Events and actually know about the graphics in it and whatnot, if you know that kind of stuff. So, diplomatic report. Our diplomatic service reports, and there's a different version of the text for Austria. This is just German notification to what's happening. That with only insignificant reaction to German military reoccupation of the Rhineland, the Austrian government has reintroduced military conscription in violation of the terms of the Treaty of Saint-Germain. The Austrian government sought to build a military force that was more reliable than the Heimwehr. Okay, basically, the main effect of this was like, I don't know, 150 or something additional manpower into the Austrian manpower pool. And so we've lost high and gone back down to just popular. Okay. Reichslust Ministerium. That's a picture of it, I think. You know, there's Goering and Speer looking at the model of it. Yes, we're going to build this. Again, you got this, 6% ICs. It's going to be costly for a brief while. Expand our hospitals. Okay. Expand our factories. Okay. Okay. Sort of once a month or something I can see on some of these events, but that Willie Messerschmitt all the time, that was too much. So I really have been enjoying modding. Okay, another diplomatic report from the new thing, the new elements. That's why I'm covering more than some of the stuff that's already been covered in earlier versions, and I'll look into it more deeper when I do another playthrough here. But our diplomatic service reports that the Austro-Czechoslovak trade agreement, one result of the Czechoslovak Prime Minister Hoz's visit to Vienna, was the signing of a trade agreement as a means to promote cooperation between the two states. I don't know if I'm going to read all of this. Obviously, that's Hozda and that's Sheshnig. This is just a report of it, but this is just closer relations between them, so more training. We'll do the standard one. This normally some of the big increases, yeah, they're a little more increased, but not worth the cost. Lease magazine, expanding factories, and getting a lot of those. Expanding shipyards, getting a lot of those. Well, those may be a bit much. I'll look and see. Yes, you can have energy. You can have a teeny bit of metal for a teeny bit of money. Sure thing. And so this mod, and what I was trying to do, and is you see earlier in the version of Third Reich Events that how, okay, we're not going to do this. It goes into detail of the Sudetenland. Well, now we're looking at, I expanded to look at more details, looking at how Germany is moving in on Austria and the moves by Mussolini and others, including Czechoslovakia, trying to prop up Austria. So you're getting stuff that's both making Austria move more into the German camp and events and things that make it harder. And I've also expanded the Swiss chain of events stuff. Controllable pitch, propellers, which is a one and done. Okay, well, we're way down from what we were. Diplomacy, we got enough diplomats. So let's not get rid of it entirely, but we'll go way down. Officers, we're sort of hovering there. That's okay. Spies. Well, now that we have a cushion of spies, let's our own priority, max that out. Counter espionage, ruling party. I've gotten conflicting information whether it's good to balance these out or prioritize one over the other. I'm not sure. So it is, I mean, some of the coding is just sort of laborious for me, but coming up with the event ideas, making the graphics, all of that I love for modding this stuff. So it's not a chore in that sense, it's just time. Okay, so we've got that. We still got too many projects, so we won't add more. Reich organization, this talks about, this is a picture that I saw in childhood of this, Die Block, Die Zelle, Die Ortsgruppe, Die Kress, and Der Gau. So it's, how the National Socialist regime is organizing up everything within society. So when I found a copy of that photo again, or that image, period image, I wanted to make an event. Oh, good. Okay, well, I guess we'll fire all of these. Hopefully I'm not double clicking any one of them. Oh, we're just going to close that one. That's right. Yes. 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 Do full divisions. Yes. SS Junker Schul Bad Tolts. Yes. Does that give us a unit? I forget. No, it's over. Any bad tolts? Or is it just on the map? I don't know if it gives us. No, it doesn't give us anything on the map. It's been so long since I've created some of these things, but where's bad tolts? There we are. Oh no, bad tolts is down here. That's the other Junkenschule up there in Brunswick. This is down somewhere down here. Yeah, I don't know, somewhere down here. Okay, we're down a little bit on. Oh, we're researching something. Jumped too far ahead. Okay, what is this? Okay, artillery brigade. So we want to stop artillery brigades because we don't want to go too. There we go. Now, okay, we're down a bunch by money. Well, let's see who. Well, Iran. They have a lot of money. They need supplies. Not that much, but a little bit. No, we might cancel buying. Well, the Soviet Union has lots of money. Let's see if we can sell. Well, let's do that. Where's the USA? Where's USA? USA. Where? We have it by money. Why don't they have? It's Liberia. Why am I missing the flag? That's what I'm looking for. Not read it. There it is. Okay. Well, they got money. Oh, I guess it's just I don't know. Whatever. And they need supplies. So they've got 21 and need a lot of supplies. So let's go to something that's near 20. There we go. And I believe is a design function. The Nazis did have a foreign currency deficit problem, most assuredly. But as a design function on the game, I don't know that it should be terribly hard to maintain a positive balance of trade. But it should just cost you lots of supplies. So it means if you're selling supplies instead of either stockpiling your supplies or manufacturing other things from the war or for the war. Okay. Deutsches Erfreshner Radfunk. Television, what's on? The Paul Nichtau, Berlin. Yes. And what's her name here? Ursula Pranchek. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Would start every morning by going, Achtung, Achtung. I'm not going to read the rest of that, but that was her opening greeting. She was the face of German television in 1936 and beyond, up until the end of it, basically, through the war. She would start every morning with Achtung, Achtung. And that was just broadcast sort of in the Berlin area. Right, okay. ABS tracks and suspension. Yep, stop that. And cavalry exploitation, which we'll let continue. Monaco Grand Prix, yeah, we'll send out there. Hans Schuren. Reich, Radfunk, Gesellschaft. But notice, this is Germany calling, and this is in English. This is dealing with Germany broadcasting outside of Germany. And so you get a minor, if you want to do it, minor boost by nations in the region just by 2, not very much. It was a few hours a day. Okay, at roughly this time, 1936 to 1938, you had television broadcast in Greater Berlin. This is what I found out so far. I mean, so there could be more than this, but this is what I found out so far in my research. They for the Olympics. They were broadcasting not just for the Olympics, but for the Olympics. They set up around Berlin, and I have a photo of one of them, of sort of theaters in which they had a huge, now it's a projection screen, but a huge screen that's projecting live television to people coming in and sitting in theaters to watch live coverage of the Olympics on huge screens. Now, most of that, I believe, was sent over wires to those, so that was high quality. So they ran wires to these viewing theaters during the Olympics around Berlin. But they did, and we will see it coming up, what a Third Reich television actually looked like, in-home television. So they were broadcasting in-home television in Berlin, at least a few hours a day. They did record some of it. A lot of it was like variety shows, like dogs doing tricks, or, traditional German, women dancing or something, or comedy routines. It's just sort of like a vaudeville type, a lot of that kind of stuff. I don't know if they were showing movies somehow over the system. I just don't know that. But some of the broadcasts, you can find some of the stuff, and that's how I've listened to Ursula do her thing on a clip on YouTube. So some of that is around. You can see some of that. So they were broadcasting in the Greater Berlin area. Britain was in the Greater London area. There was a television station broadcasting in and around London. Paris, there was another television station that was broadcasting in and around Paris. Well, hey, thank you for following the channel. You can, if you are new here, you can also scroll down and see a link to my YouTube channel if you want to check that out. And of course, people on YouTube, if you prefer to watch on Twitch, I'm doing both live now. So there was a Paris broadcast station. The Germans took it over when they captured Paris, and continued to broadcast it throughout its occupation of Paris. So they were broadcasting to the local Paris region German television propaganda, sort of French version of it, to the French people in Paris. And in New York City area, greater New York City area, there was television in 1936, at least one television station that produced a few hours a day of television programming. I don't think there was anything in LA for television. LA was very much a movie and radio center. But I haven't found any television stations in the 30s in LA, or broadcast setup. So those are the four places that I know in the world that there was active televisions being sold for home use and people watching with, if not every day of the week, many days of the week. They may have just been doing like Monday through Friday or something. I don't know right offhand. But yeah, that was the extent of, in the second half of the 1930s. Now, you were also showing, I know, in the World's Fair in Chicago, over here, some television stuff, but I don't know if it was broadcast, over the air, or if they were just demonstrating it to, televisions in the World's Fair, booth over it, showing what it would be like, so all the visitors would come and see it. Thank you so much, Arno. So we'll do trade. Okay, good. Yes. So that is my understanding of the television in the 1930s. And I'm always interested in more information, so you can leave links on, things like my Discord server or whatnot if you have other information about things like that in the 1930s and in the 1940s. Yes, you may have energy. Capital shipyards. Let's see if some of those. Nope, don't need a thing pushed up to the top. And so, I try to understand World War II more than just where or when where and when some particular division was fighting some other unit. I mean, I'm interested in all of that too, of course, but I'm also interested in all of the social and economic background elements to it as well. So we're going to end the episode, not the live stream, just the episode here. I want to thank you all for making it this far. I really do appreciate it. See you next time for even more Hearts of Iron.